On June 6, 1944, Allied military forces would cross the English Channel to the beaches of Normandy, performing seaborne as well as airborne tactics. After months of hellacious training and preparation for the drop in Normandy behind enemy lines, the day of days has come. Everything they have trained for has come down to this. Lieutenant Winters and Easy Company take the skies as we continue our watch along series on Band of Brothers, Episode 2, The Day of Days. This is a Comic Talkers production, and you are listening to Just for Flicks. What? What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Patty B. Sorry, got a little passionate there. But with me, as always, is Mr. B Dog, Mr. Brandon. How are we doing tonight, my friend?
Man, I swear, either I heard a big crack in the middle of your voice when you went, what?
What?
Well, you woke me up either by loudness or that screech. So, fans, let us know in the comments what you guys think. If it was a screech or if it was
I'm
waking
here
up.
to rejuvenate the mood.
I'm excited for this one. Like we said, this is the second episode of a 10-part series of us going down the Band of Brothers series. That was released in 2000. That was released in 2001. I know this is a favorite series of mine. I know this is a favorite series of Pat's. So
Yep.
we're going to be going down. If you haven't checked out episode 1 yet, we advise you go back, listen to episode 1, come back, and we'll discuss it. And you can sit here and listen to us talk about episode 2 as we watch along with you. Um, like a bit of commentary, I guess is a good way to put it. So,
A bit of commentary, yeah.
but but we will wait a second. Well, Pat, we'll give him a second to go pause and come go watch up.
Yeah, give a little second to kind of get freshened up. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to break into the munch. Oh, man.
And then we come back with a clothesline and come back to the
A little bit of elbow drop.
But we are going over episode 2, which is Day of Days.
Yep.
Like states, it is during D-Day that we're going to see this happen, which was a very pivotal moment for the Airborne, and especially the 101st and Easy Company, which we will get into it here. As always, watch alongs. We will try our best to keep you updated on
We
where
will
we're
try our best. Can't promise you anything, though.
But we will start off where it says HBO original, and we will
Programming.
listen to the song. We will listen to the vets, and we will enjoy the episode along with you. Um, Fans, let us know in the comments what you guys think about Band of Brothers. Let us know who your favorite person that is or favorite actor in this series is. Let us know that. And without further ado, Patty B, count us down.
I don't know if you guys are ready, but I'm ready. B-Dog, are you ready?
I'm ready to smack down.
Oh, let's go. We got a 3, 2, 1. Lay.
HBO presents. I still don't agree with you with the iconic intro into this. Like the intro alone.
Are you talking about the HBO?
No,
Oh,
no, that too, but I'm talking about the main song.
oh, okay. Because you know what? I always say this whenever I hear the I see the HBO and it goes, oh, I immediately think of Sopranos because I want to in my head want to just start the Sopranos song to follow. So that's ruined that for me. But because it's like, unfortunately, any HBO show that they make, whenever they have that intro, I just automatically think Sopranos.
Yeah. It but even talking about the song, like I like this little intro, this little like how they do it and how they take pictures and stills and then kind of make it look like they're moving their heads or doing something. I
Yeah. Or they make it seem like those pictures were developed back then, you know what I mean? Like they got them from that, but they're really the actors that portray, you know,
Yeah.
the soldiers themselves. But I know you mentioned it back in the first episode, but I really the score, like that this first intro, like this song is like kind of gets you ready for what's gonna happen. Also kind of has like that honor behind it as well. But
So that's what I said. That this song alone is what made me actually buy the score. So I actually personally own like the score, like
the soundtrack and everything, yeah.
because I really do like listening to the soundtrack, even when I'm doing notes or working on school stuff or anything it may be. This is one of the things I put on and just
Yeah.
listen to the music. Um, it's very relaxing, very melancholy. Um, and I agree with you, Pat. It's like a sense of heroic or hero.
Yeah, yeah, it's got like a sense of honor behind it. Yeah. Directed by Richard Longren, Band of Brothers. I would say that they have a relatively short intro compared to a lot of HBO original shows because, man, like Game of Thrones, Sopranos are easily in a minute and a half to 2 minute intros. So we're getting, I mean, they're kind of explaining to us what we're getting prepped for in this episode, right, Brandon?
Yeah. So pretty much they're discussing their mentality at this point. And this is and we've talked about this too in episode 1. I really love the original veterans coming back and really discussing. And it's like
Yeah.
we talked about too, it's having that sense of realism. It's
Hmm.
it's you can tell Spielberg, Hanks, everybody that did this really cared about this show and wanted their interpretations of what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the mentality. You got to remember, and we're going to see it within the first 10 minutes of this episode. It is probably one of the scariest things these men ever went across.
Yeah, this first 10 minutes is like kind of gets you not prepped, but I mean it gives you an idea of what's gonna come in this next, 9 episodes after, well, 8 episodes after this, but more like the fact of, like you said, the fear that's instilled behind everything, right?
Right. And like one of the main guys that actually talks here in these little monologues in the beginning is Winners. It
Yeah.
is. This is it's the older gentleman with the 506 Easy Company banner behind him. That's Winners. And to really see how his context of how he looks at things, because mind you, this is going to be a Winners focused episode. Yeah, remember, this is a guy we're going to see within the first 10 minutes. The main lieutenant that's in charge of Easy Company go down, and it's what puts him in charge. Um,
I love this opening part right here.
I love the shots. Like it just
Yeah, it just starts in the clouds.
yeah, like all through the fog and everything.
Well, it's like that first episode, it ended with the planes taking off, and then it goes to credits essentially.
Yeah,
And so now it basically just carries on to right where it ended. I
right.
love that.
Now, just give you guys a little context. Like we said, we are going to begin with D-Day in this episode. Um, in the early morning of June 6, 1944, soldiers on both the 82nd and 101st Airborne set off to what would become one of the most important operations, not only of this war, but throughout history. Um, their objective actually was to land near the town of Saint Near Iglis. The job was to secure roads that were leading from the shoreline and to obstruct enemy efforts to reinforce their beach defenses. So even though you would think, why are they doing something like this? Airborne had a pretty important part of this.
Yeah.
Their jobs, like we said, is to cut off reinforcements, to obstruct the enemies as much as possible. Because when the landing forces get down on Omaha, Utah, all the beaches in Normandy, they're going to need all the help they can get.
Do you think the Airborne had a little bit more of a difficult job compared to the
Oh,
Seaborne? Fair,
Oh,
right?
oh, well, you got to
Yeah.
remember, we're going to see that through this episode. It was a pretty
I
weird.
think getting out of the plane onto the ground was already a feat in itself, right? Like
Yes,
it was a mission in itself to get from the plane to landfall.
right.
And
And
I
you got to remember too, it's like some of these guys didn't make it even to the ground.
yeah, yeah. I'm not some of the guys didn't even make it out of the plane.
Yeah. And that's why I said, like, some struggled, and we'll see here too. Winners loses his weapon, and that was pretty common.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys, that's why, remember, I told you in the first episode, they trained with different types of weapons from captured weapons of their enemy.
Mhm.
Now, I want to talk to you about this little clicker they're playing. Do you know what that is?
I do not.
It's a clicker, but it's called, pretty much in their eyes, a cricket.
Okay.
So it's a little cheap toy, but it would be two, like a click clack kind of noise, and then there would be a response,
Mm.
click clack, and then that's when you hear the codes like flash, thunder, or things like that. It was a sense of making sure who is who,
Okay.
because mind you, they're going in pitch
It
black,
was like a code word type deal.
and
Yeah.
and two, they're going in pitch black dark. They don't know who's around them.
Yeah.
You have to go codes, and that was the thing.
The thing too is like I know with it being a show or even a movie, like there's those lighting things behind it, right? Because they need to show what's actually happening. But in real life, it's like a good comparison is like and this is way off topic, but like the Titanic movie, how in that movie they portray of how much light was around them, but in real life, everything was pitch black.
Right.
So you're saying like in this instant right now, we're in the plane and everything, and them dropping down in parachutes, it's pitch black. There was really no vision at all, right?
Well, yeah, like even the scene right now, you only have that red light staring at them,
Yeah,
getting
I mean,
to jump
but
out of that
I mean,
plane.
I guess it's hard. I mean, I guess you could find out if you really looked at it, but like astrology with full moons and whatnot. But even at that, like to having to do what they're having to do in pitch black is just absolutely absurd, man.
Well, now you understand, and this is now we're getting to the part where the bombardment of just German
Yeah.
artillery.
They
That's
don't know what they're yeah. They don't
and
know what to work with.
and that's why I said in this case, planes are just to be destroyed, and that's something I've never under really stood with this side of it. I know most aircraft was there to help protect also Navy too, but there should have been, like, how like they have like the bombers and stuff, and like you see in Red Tails how they have always like the P-51 Mustangs and stuff like that that go down and help them out. Why wasn't there a lot of support then too? But I understand we're not really going up against aircraft per se. We're going up against the bombardment. Now, here's something I want you to see if you understand here. So a lot of planes. So this is where we actually start to see that the plane started misdropping. Okay.
Hmm.
So here's something that we have to start looking at is that, did you know that pilots are actually ordered to not go into evasive action during this little during
Right?
the
What? So they're supposed to do the whole give them the signal to go, right? But the pilots themselves don't inflict on action, right?
right. So now they're not supposed to, the pilots are not supposed to evasive action at this point. So now that's why some people are jumping out of the plane sooner, because the pilots are making that decision. And sometimes it's really out of their hands. They don't have control of what's actually going to happen. But
Gotcha.
but at this point, they were actually ordered not to evasive action. So they were supposed to go straight to their points. And this is
What
one of my favorite
happens at
shots
that
of the
point,
film.
right?
Yeah. This is one of my favorite shots. It's like the point of view of a guy jumping out of the plane.
Yeah.
You just see him, and that's said. It just
Huh. Oh, this part's crazy.
bang.
Yeah, I we're about to see the brutality of war right now, and just how sudden everything can kind of turn around. Oh man.
And here we go.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Oh, and there his buddy goes.
Yep, Winters just jumped out of the plane. Now, one of the planes that was shut down or shot down was Lieutenant Meehan's. Now, Lieutenant
Mhm.
Meehan was the commanding officer of Easy Company. Now, at this point, that goes under who now, Pat?
Goes on winners.
It goes the winners.
Congratulations, winners. You've made yourself a promotion.
Now, here's what's important. Winners just lands, right?
Yep.
With no weapon on.
Just a knife.
Yep.
Right.
And this was common. This was a common thing during this invasion. I really sound like the dude from Waterboy, don't I? I'd be like, and they what was it? How they say it?
What's that?
Like, and they didn't hold it back, there we go. They just didn't hold back. We know. uh,
So who is this soldier that Winners has encountered?
so his name is Private John Halls, which I want to correct this because they only call him Hall here. It's Halls.
Yeah.
Um, and he's part of Alpha Company. So you got to remember during this time too, during D-Day, everybody was scattered.
Mhm.
Everybody did not make their point. So now they're going to have to go through enemy fire, and sometimes you would have to work with people you don't work with.
Yeah. Right. Or people that you're not used to working with, or you're gonna have to figure out. Like, I like how we're gonna see in a minute or two where you kind of Winters is gonna have this guy's back. Even though he might have been in trouble with the platoon on his side, or I should say the major or the commanding officer on his side. But
Well,
yeah,
not
it's
so much
kind of
that.
cool how it's kind of cool how a situation like this kind of puts everyone out of order, and people meet different people and whatnot. So
Well, in this one, we got to remember too. He even states that he was part of the basketball team that Winners coached
Mhm.
for the battalion. So, and so you got to remember at this point too, why he's mad is because, or why he feels his commanding officer is going to be mad because he's supposed to be the radio man,
Mhm.
and his radio was lost during the jump. That's why I said a lot of things were lost during this jump, and it was common. Like you can see now, Winners is pretty much unarmed. Something happens, what's going to happen?
It's a deal.
But see, this is where I always love Winners in this scene too, is because this really shows you that Winners actually knows where they are. Because
Mhm.
this tells you how studious of a leader he was compared to somebody like Sobel, because if Sobel was in this situation, it wouldn't go well.
Yeah. I feel like a little bit of panic with Sidon, right?
Yep.
With
But
Sobel.
this is how the clicker worked. They would they heard noises, so they do you see that little noise.
Yeah.
Now you can see the 80 seconds in this jump too here.
Uh-huh.
So you can see, the differences, right, between their units, right, or the patches on them.
Yeah.
One has the eagle and one has the red circle on them. So,
Gotcha.
so they're both units were dropped during D-Day.
Mhm.
I always love this scene where he sits there and he's opening up the crutch, like, what is he doing? And then, but they're gonna pull up a map to really show, and again, how showing the studiousness of and calmness of Winners.
And you know what's crazy too about this is like, they're about to get a map, or he's asking for a map or whatnot. And they've never been here before, right? So they're kind of going off on a whim of what the layout or what everything is supposed to be like. You got to think about that too. I know you have a map and shows you directions and everything, but still, I mean, when you go to a new place, even if you have a map, you're still going to be a little lost. And I think for a situation like this, it's definitely nerve-wracking, right?
Get a compass, man. No, I'm just
Get a compass. Yeah, what are you, Jack Sparrow?
I've had to learn. You never learned how to do that.
Davy Jones, giant squid.
You never went out there with a compass and try to find your way around.
You know,
Man,
I was in Cub Scouts.
I was in JRTC and Cub Scouts, buddy. We were taught that.
Fancy.
Yeah, I know. Um, Now again, we're gonna see them do kind of a you see how they work is now they're going to be cautious. But see, now they do flash thunder.
Mm-hmm.
It's another way that they could get across to somebody. So we got to remember, fans, Gurnir just was received a letter that pretty much just notified him that his brother has passed away before the trial.
Yes.
So this is now a more of a wild card now in this case. And I believe his brother passed away in the Italy front, if I'm not, or the Italy front.
Yes.
And
Yep.
then so now he's got a little bit of a vendetta against Germany and the Axis forces. So this is where you see these scenes that come up and why he just does not care.
Mm-hmm. Got nothing to lose, right?
Yeah. And at this point, there's a little patrol of German soldiers that are coming in, and he tells them to hold. Winters tells them to hold his fire, and Gurnir just goes off on him. But this again, you want me to tell you when I think of this scene? You ready? What movie do you think of when you see this scene? And you know this is a movie I enjoy a lot.
Well, when they just creep up on them like that.
That's the color backgrounds and how they do things. I think
Yeah.
Road to Perdition during this scene.
Yeah. It's very pale.
Yep. But we see here Garnier is now like pretty much going against what Winters says because Winters doesn't understand what he's going through. And here at this
Mm-hmm.
point, now, this is a funny fact here. So you heard him just call him a Quaker. Now, people think that because he's always good, he doesn't go out and do things like that. He doesn't drink. He doesn't do a lot of things that most of these guys would do. He actually isn't a Quaker. Now, but you can see just that little mentality of Gurnier because now he calls him cowboy because he's like, oh man, what got into you? He's like, none of your business. It just really shows you where Gurnier stands on things. And that I think it's a sense too, and we got that in last episode where most of these soldiers in his eyes is like gotta earn his respect too. It's not just like Sobel. You can see he was one of the first people that went up against Sobel
Yeah.
and voted like I
Because Sobel also the way Sobel ran things was, he kind of had a very strict, I wouldn't say dictatorship, but he wanted people to
he
he wanted
wanted
to have a sense of commanding over people, right?
well, it's a sense of he wanted the glory, but
Yeah.
in some ways wasn't willing to do what was necessary. And that's where Winters became so well respected.
Love the little countryside shot right there we got.
You got to remember, we're in France, buddy. France is
We
known.
in France. Oh, the country is beautiful.
We're in France
Oui, oui.
now. During this scene, you'll see there are soldiers that are literally hanging in the trees.
Yeah.
What would happen with these guys is usually they would either find a way to get out, or German soldiers would find them and shoot them, or some were captured. This one you can see here, he was killed. Now, this was something again that was normal. Is that even when they saw the bodies of soldiers, they would have at this point. It's like Lipton says, played by Donnie Wahlberg.
Mhm.
You need ammunition. Here's time to grab it, and this is where we see Winters finally grab a weapon that he's used to.
Yep. Well, even supplies too, right? There's just provisions, anything like that.
But you can see here, and this is something I want to talk about Malarkey. Now, Malarkey is going souvenir shopping. Now, this was also common during World War II. Pat, what do you think one of the biggest things was when it came to artifact or um, souvenirs that
Well,
people?
I mean, back then, I would say, like they say here in the show, I mean, either a Luger.
Yeah,
This is a this is a crazy part right here. I remember when I watched this for the first time, I was like, "What? They really had soldiers like this?"
and from the United States.
And yeah, so they backstory here. This guy is from Eugene, Oregon, and he's from Astoria, and the guy that is from Eugene is in the German military.
Well, it's like he says, the family answered the call. This
It's
was not uncommon either.
I know, but it's still mind blowing, right?
Yeah, it just it's really weird how to say it. This see stuff like that, but it is common.
Guys from Astoria, you know where Astoria, Oregon is? It's where the Goonies are shot.
I don't care for the Goonies.
Fine.
That's probably why I don't care. I don't.
Listeners might be like, "Oh, Astoria, Oregon. I know where that's at." Um,
Where's it? Oh, that's where the Goonies were shot.
it is, bro, on the coast.
Now
That's what
we
they.
see that now Easy Company, that Winters was leading, plus some of the other men have now come across some of the men that they know. Buck or I'm pulling up my notes here. Lieutenant Lynn Buck or Buck Compton, played by Neil McDonough, and a lot of their other friends that they've grown to train with.
Mhm. I really like Neil McDonough's character throughout this show. I know it changes a lot, stuff happens,
Here's one
but
of my favorite characters that we're going to be introduced to, though, too. Spears,
yeah,
or one of my favorite soldiers in this is Spears, because
mhm.
Spears is shrouded with mystery.
He's fucking badass. He's an absolute badass.
You got to remember, he's shrouded with mystery. There's a lot of things about him, even in history, that we don't know.
But man, when they show like Spears in action later on in the series, it's like, God, how can you not like how can you not like a person like that, man?
Yeah,
You know?
right. Now, Malarkey just left the formation, and we see Spears is going that way now to where the POWs, because where we saw the scene where Malarkey was talking with the guy from Eugene,
Mhm.
it was in like the POWs they captured.
That guy looked familiar. That guy that played the German soldier, American German soldier.
Yeah, I thought that too, but I couldn't tell you. Now, this scene here, Malarkey leaves, and all of a sudden he just hears rounds going off. Now, it's shrouded with mystery in this. It's Spears really, truly shot these POWs. Now, the POWs were killed, but there wasn't a lot. You got to remember, POWs at this point in time, there wasn't really room that they could do.
Hmm.
The base of force. They don't have the luxury of having the POWs and stuff. So, yeah, most of the time you would see stuff like this happen.
Yep.
Now, Winters has been called up because now at this point, Meehan is now gone. Winters
Hmm.
is now the acting commander. And we're going to go to a place that's entitled Breakcourt Manor. Now, I'm curious, Pat, because I want to see if you actually know this. Ready? How many men do you think Winters had from Easy Company at this point?
How many men do I think he had from Easy Company?
At this point, where they're going over to the Breakcourt Manor situation or the battle that they're going to be going into.
I'm gonna go with 45,
Less,
25,
less,
18,
less. From
12,
Easy Company. One more.
13,
No, less than that.
11.
Winners at the time could only account for 11 men from Easy Company. The number normally for men in Easy Company was near 200.
Oh wow.
Now, there will be more that show up, but at this point in time, this is all he really accounted for. But this also leads to where we're going to have others volunteer to help out with this operation. Now, Breakcourt Manor, for anybody who does not know, it was ordered, of course, given to Lieutenant Richard Dick Winters. there was at this point German artillery going down at Utah Beach. And there are 4 guns at this place that are heavily firing on Utah. Which actually caused American soldiers from the 4th Infantry to actually struggle at this point. His job was to take down artillery fire so that the soldiers on Utah Beach could be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said, Winters only had about 11 guys from Easy Company at this point.
That's wild.
Now, mind you, they're going up against like near 50 something German soldiers, plus guns.
It's crazy.
Yeah, he gathered his team along the roadside of the village Le Grand Cream, which is 5 miles inland off the coast. Assigned to this task was with Winters was Lieutenant Lynn Buck Compton, with Staff Sergeant Carwood Limpton, Staff Sergeant Bill Gonanier, Sergeant Don Malarkey, Sergeant Myron Rainey, Corporal Joseph Lipgott, Corporal John Plesha, Corporal Joe Toye, Private Walter Hendricks, Private Walter Popeye Wynn, Private Cleveland Petty. Some of the ones that volunteered was Private John Halls, Private First Class Gerald Lorraine, Private Virgil Red Kimberling, Private Walter Hicks, and Sergeant Julius Rusty Hulk. This came from Alpha Company, Headquarters Company, Fox Company, and then we're going to see Spears from Dog Company come in later on.
Spears is awesome. Like you said, that I love that mystique around him, and you're gonna find out later on why, but or the stories behind him and whatnot.
Yeah. At this point, all they were allowed to bring with them was weapons and ammunition. Lipton and a couple others had C4 on. Or TNT, my bad, not C4. TNT, okay? I'll get it out. TNT. But I love this thing. You want me to tell you why? Because it's probably one of the most accurately shot, like, military operation moves, period.
Okay.
When you really think about the way they're doing their signs, the way they're doing things, it's just so well done in this scene.
I love how it shows the different views from everyone too.
Yeah.
Kind of goes back and forth.
That's why I said I really love it, like on how it's done. It's just I really love the like one of my favorite weapons in this war was always the M1 Grand.
I love the camera work, how it's so stiff too. Like it's like very grainy and back and forth.
Well, it makes it feel like it's accurate. It's like a point
Very real.
looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they want to set like a realistic tone to what's actually happening. And they're definitely executing on something like this. Yeah.
It's really that's what I said. Like you even have the machine gun, and I just love how they're in the
Oh,
bushes and everything there. It's just really well done how they did it.
love that. Dude, this guy's hiding in a tree, dude, shooting. That's wild. It's insane like how beautiful like the backdrops are and the countryside is and like all this hellacious warfare is going on in the process.
Well, it's just the way it's done and everything. It's just well shot, and it's really well colors like we've talked about. It's that grittier tone that we.
Uh-huh.
It's just really well.
Well, and it with it being that color too, it definitely sets a tone to the episode itself, right?
Right.
Now, I'm trying to think, and we're gonna find out later on while we watch more and more episodes of the series, but are there more episodes that have like different tones, you think, to the way this is shot? You know how like this is a little bit more pale looking? Do you think there's more warmer colors in other episodes?
Yeah, there is. Like I know there's an episode where they're like on leave for a day, and
Yeah.
and that you do feel like that. Like I even think even episode three's got a little bit more color too in it. Um, but yeah, that's a good question to bring up.
Just dropping them now, man. I mean,
But yeah, so at this point, and here's what Winters wasn't expecting to go up against many like he didn't know how many German soldiers there were going to be at this point.
Mm.
I think there was actually a number of how many there was. I think there was like over 50 something German soldiers here. With 50 enemy soldiers. Um I love this scene too. Popeye goes, "What, you cried something?" He goes, "Yeah, I got one on my ass." And Buck's like, "Your ass?"
Yeah. I
At the,
think Malarkey was one of those soldiers that I liked him more and more, I think, as the show went on. Like
yeah,
as the more episodes I think just the more Malarkey you get every episode, the more I started to like Malarkey
it's a
himself.
sense of like he's one of the soldiers. Like I think all of them have like a maturity way of growing now at this point because they've seen more. But
Yeah.
Marky is one of them that he has one of my favorite moments where he's going, and we'll see in a later episode when he's going to like the laundromat and grabbing all their uniforms, and he
Uh-huh.
knows everybody's uniform that has passed since.
Yeah.
It's a really powerful scene with Malarkey. Now, at this point, they're going to go ahead and start taking out these big guns. Now, like we said, this artillery is just raining down fire on Utah Beach at this point. So their goal is to take out these 4 guns. That's it at this point.
Malark
Yeah.
taking their time. I was gonna say, do you think Neil McDonough's character, or I should say, the person that he portrays, the soldier that he portrays, is he supposed to have more action, you think, throughout this, or exactly what happens to him later on is what happens to him? I know it's probably more accurate, I would say, with the way the show explains, but
I'd say I've really never found any inaccuracies with his
yeah,
the soldier that McDonough plays. Um, but I've never really seen like any differences with him at all. Like I think he has one of the bigger changes as a leader.
yeah,
Like
no,
with
definitely. And as far as the way the personality sways, right?
even Winters has those moments
Yeah,
because we'll see in later episodes that Winters does have this. Now, this is where a lot of soldiers, I hate to say it, tended to lose their lives here. And I'm going to bring this up because Malarkey is going out again, artifact hunting, while machine gun fire is laying down on him.
dumb, right? Getting killed off of something like that doesn't seem worth it.
Well, it's just like Gunnar just said. It's like for a stinking Luger, was that more important than your own life? It really was a big thing.
And he's like he didn't get hit. That's crazy.
Do you think this is a ticket way home? I don't know. I don't think so. I just got here. I don't know. I just got here. It's just I love the whole like I'm kind of liking this kid. I love him. I love Gunnar.
I think this episode, there's some episodes, and I think, I was gonna say, I think listeners are gonna probably notice. Obviously, some more episodes are gonna have a little bit more warfare than others, right? I think this one, because of the way it's entitled and the way it's, what it's supposed to show throughout the episode, obviously, is going to show a little bit more warfare than character development, or I should say development as the soldiers go on. But compared to, there's some that are a little bit slower than this, but this one's more fast paced, I think, obviously with all the actions that's happening.
Now, do you know what they used to call the German grenades? Because we
I
just saw Winners at this point. Winners just put a German grenade into the first one of the first cannons.
What was that?
They call it the mashed potato, the potato smasher grenade.
Yeah. All right, we are at 38 minutes and 46 seconds right now as a time cue for you folks, just in case you're a little lost of where we're at. But yeah, man, we're getting some pretty extreme firing going on, some pretty extreme action. Um,
Yeah,
Getting pretty good example of the leadership from winners, right?
yeah. It is. This is why I said this is something. I know it's like when you listen to Winners and you listen to how he is as a person, like you can tell like he does not like taking pleasure in anything that he's doing. He doesn't take pleasure in killing people. He doesn't do all
Mm-mm.
that. And now we start seeing some of the men go down one by one. Um, but here's an important scene here, and I want to talk about this. Winners goes through one of the trench things right there, or the trenches to go from there.
Yeah.
And he comes across a map. Now, these map. Do you know what that map is?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Winners discovered a German map that actually marked every battery along the entire coast and their fields of fire. So every gun that's going off that's important to take out right now that's causing Allied forces trouble, that's on that map. Now, Dog Company, Spears and Dog Company has just entered this little skirmish to help take out some of the guns. And we're going to start seeing them take them out one by one, too.
Man, I just love the way the camera work is on this. And it's probably editing and just the style of how they do it, but man, it just looks so good. And they
And
did a lot of it, they did a lot of it in Saving Private Ryan. Obviously, it's partially collaborated with Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks being involved as well. But man, it's just there's a lot of nuances that are very similar in this show and that movie. So
now I love Lipton in this scene too, where you had Lipton come up. It's like, okay, I got that TNT for you. He's like, we've already got it done. He's like, but there's now we're gonna start seeing them start retreating because at this point their job's now accomplished. Their goal was only to take out the guns. Now, Winters did state he did want to go actually take out even the machine guns because
Mhm.
we know Allied forces will be rolling through there after all this. But you saw at that scene, Winters gets out of the trench and starts retreating himself, but we see him shoot his first enemy.
Mhm.
And so, but now Winners and soldiers of Easy Company and the volunteers that went with him got back to their headquarters at this point. And here comes Nixon. This is the first time we've seen Nixon in this episode.
Good old Nixon. I like I like the soldier of Nixon.
Yeah. Well, Nixon is an intelligence officer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But I mean, I love first off, I love Ron Livingston. I think he's great for that role.
yeah.
As you know, I mean, if you don't know who Ron Livingston is, go watch Office Space. It's probably one of the best 90s comedies of all time. Cult classic. Plays Peter Gibbons. Um, Looks like B-Dog is gonna agree otherwise. Not a big Office Space fan.
Never watched it. Oh.
You've never seen Office Space?
We talked about that, man. I've never watched it.
Well, I'm bringing it back now, man. You people need to let this guy know and gotta let him.
I
You
don't
gotta
want to
go
hear
watch
it. I don't
Office.
want to hear it, Mister. I've never watched Space Jam.
I don't care.
I don't care.
Space Jam.
Like now, they pretty much got some R&R now at this point. They got not R&R, but they have some time to rest, eat, get everything before they have to go back out again. And we see that they get in the truck, and all these guys are just they made dinner in an ammunition tin, and just they're like, "What are you making?" A lot of the guys can't take it because of the smell. Even Gunnar is like, I just need some air. But Winters is walking out around and stuff. We're gonna see him come up to the guys. Did something die in here? And at this point, they asked about if there's been anything about Mian, because at this point, nobody knows what happened to Mian. Now, Mian was, like we said, the commanding officer at this point.
Yeah.
Going on near says, does that make you the acting commander? And he goes, yes. And I love this scene that they do. So it's pretty much the day of day, like it's the first day of everything, because we see Winters take a drink, and people, yeah, they don't think he's a Quaker, or he thinks he's Quaker, and I love this scene too. Going there, I'm not a Quaker. I love, but it's the first day he's killed somebody. It's the first day he's drank. He's done all this, and that's why I say he's just very to himself. Winters,
Yeah.
but I love that scene. It's like a day of first for it. It's it's a day. There's a first for everything, right? And he sits there and sips a drink, and the guys are just shocked because he's never done that.
Hmm.
So now we're talking about John Halls, right? Now John Halls did die during this battle. The guy that Winters came across when they first landed. And he talked about how he's been killed in action. And Nixon and him are talking about this. And you can see Winters really, even though he's been training for this and everything, he's really not taken. He's not really, how do you say it? Like he's not taking a liking to what's going on.
Yeah.
Prepared for what was going to come. Nixon did inform him, though, that the plans that, or the maps that he did retrieve will help. That's what they needed. Nixon, like we said, is an intelligence officer. So he's going to be escorting that out so we can take all these guns out.
I love how they're not afraid to do more nighttime shoots in this, right? It seems like you get a lot of that throughout the whole miniseries.
Yeah.
A lot of people weren't doing that at this time. I think it's just because you're trying to capture everything that you can see, right? And in this case, stuff's a little bit more, hidden, or I should say it's a little harder to watch or harder to see, I should say. And HBO does that with other shows too. Like people complained a lot about the whole last season of Game of Thrones or whatnot, how that was shot and how some of the more
Boo.
boo. I was gonna say, would you not want me to talk about that? No, I mean it's just it's a bold choice sometimes to do it, but sometimes you have to do it. And I think in this case, it's perfect just because of the mood that is kind of swinging with everything, right?
Right. Now, we are getting to the end of the episode, but for destroying the German guns at Breakcourt Manor, the following medals were rewarded: Bronze Stars and Silver Stars. And then the Distinguished Service Cross was actually awarded to Lieutenant Richard Winters. Easy Company's capture of the German battery became a textbook case of an assault on a fixed position and is still demonstrated at West. So, did you know Winters was actually up for a Medal of Honor?
I don't know.
Yes. He was actually, for the leading role in the battle, Winters was recommended for the Medal of Honor. It was downgraded, however, to the Distinguished Service Cross. There was an unwritten agreement among the Airborne Division commanders who fought on D-Day that only one Medal of Honor would be awarded per division during Operation Orwell. It just really is a great episode. And this does end this episode. So, Pat, What do you think? What's the overall look at this
I
one?
love it. I think this set a really good tone for the action that we're gonna get throughout the show. And like I said, you're not gonna get it every episode, but I think it kind of set a certain standard of what to expect. It's gonna show the violence of war, which not only do I think is interesting to watch, but I also think it's educational to watch because you see what a lot of people went through and a lot of what these guys went through, and I think that's a very important thing.
Well,
So.
it's a sense of, like we said, it's like the sense of I think this is why I love the show so much is that it does focus on a different aspect of World War II that a lot of people tend to forget about. And Airborne is a major part of it, and to have these battles to show like even the little skirmishes they have, like Breakcourt Manor. And we're going to see later on how they were incorporated into bigger operations, including they were in the Battle of the Bulge to Operation Market Garden.
Yep.
We'll see that in later episodes. Um, it just was really well done. The This was probably by far one of my favorite military shot episodes because you could tell like how each each particular scene was just so meticulated really well,
Hmm.
where you just knew it like you didn't feel like you were watching actors play these soldiers. You saw them as like real soldiers, and it's just really accurately done. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, fans, let us know what you think of Day of Days. Let us know what you love about Band of Brothers. Check us out at J4F Podcast on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Also, listen to this podcast on Spotify and YouTube. Without
Oh,
my name is Brandon.
my name is Mr. Patty B.
Potty B, take us out.
Thank you guys for everything. Thank you guys for watching this with us. Tune in for episode 3 as we're gonna keep continuing the Band of Brothers watch along series. But as you know, we do it just for flicks. Bye bye now.